Okay, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Welcome back po sa FSH Hub. This is our first webinar after a very long break.
Yeah.
So today we have our Research University course number 8, which is our last course for FSH Hub Research University this year. It's the Art of STEM Conference Presentations by Dr. Connie Guivas and Dr. Janice Hintz. So before we start, we want to share a few house rules. We kindly request for you guys to mute and turn your video off, and unless to pose a question or comments. And we kindly request no recording of the session, as the full video of the event will be posted later sa YouTube po and sa website ng FSH Hub. For the certificate of participation, we will post a Google form link to issue the certificate of participation for this session. So we will paste that on the Zoom chat box, YouTube live comments. So paki-antay na lang po yan after the webinar. And also, we encourage everyone to subscribe to our FSH Hub's official YouTube channel. And if you have not followed us on Facebook, please do so. Marami po tayong events coming up soon. All right, so welcome again. And to talk about Filipino Science Hub and Filipino Science Hub Research University, we have JP on. So JP, take it away.
Ayan po. Good morning po. And welcome back to another webinar after a short hiatus. We missed you guys. And as always, we would like to introduce our group to our members, reintroduce our group. And yeah, we are the Filipino Science Hub, and we've been around more actively since last year. And our group's mission is to promote STEM literacy, STEM education, and the culture of research among our students and teachers. So we've been actively promoting STEM since last year, and so far we have gained quite a response, no, from our participants and our teachers and students around the Philippines and even abroad. The FSH Hub vision, or the FSH Hub plan, is to achieve a technology and innovation-driven Philippines. And we have devised this by promoting two major campaigns, which is the FSH Hub Ed, which is the education arm of FSH Hub of Filipino Science Hub. And this is to empower teachers as STEM educators to bring STEM closer to the students and deliver high quality lecture materials for our students. And another arm of the Filipino Science Hub is the Research University, which aims to put practical STEM applications and bring it closer to the educational sector. So we have a mixed audience. So our audience usually come from the high school and the college levels, both teachers and students. And we try to bring in these campaigns in order to bring out a new generation of Filipino STEM enthusiasts. And we have received quite a response from both teachers and students, which warms our heart. And ayun po, tuloy-tuloy lang po tayo. Okay, people are still coming in to the Zoom meeting. So we're still taking in people po. If yung po mga YouTube participants natin would like to participate via Zoom, so welcome na welcome po kayo. So FSH Research University is trying to bring out the scientists in everyone. And we do this by bringing fundamental STEM foundations and also some STEM applications. So meron po tayong research, mandatory research courses, and some special topics para po ma-appreciate po ng mga estudyante natin yung applications ng mga STEM concepts and STEM lessons na natututunan nila sa klase. And we try to put these learnings into practice, kaya po marami kaming mga campaigns to like the Lions Den, so that students can really apply what they have learned in this program. And we try to have the students adopt a synthetic mindset or a learn to create and innovate culture. Ayan. So we have now come to the last course of PhilSci-Hub Research University, and this is the eighth of the 8 mandatory courses. So ito po lahat ay free courses, no? And we try to embrace the whole range of a research endeavor, starting from research ideation, literature review, at inisa-isa po natin to since last year. We have rolled out the first course last year in September. So we have come a long way, and now yun na nga po, nandito na tayo sa culmination ng Research University Training Program. Okay? So those who wish to obtain a completion certificate for PhilSci-Hub Research University should be a member of the Google Classroom that we have devised for this program. And ayun po, nag-mechanize po kami ng way para ma-upload po ng mga participants yung participation certificates nila in each of the 8 courses. So we are expecting at least 7 from the participants in order to receive a completion certificate for Research University. Ayun po. So ayan, and here in the Research University, we try to share the best practices and tips for all steps in research, from idea generation, yun na nga po, until now sa scientific communication. And poster and conference presentation is one of those one of the forms of scientific communication, and it's very personal and ayun po, up close kung tutuusin. But for now, yun nga po, nasa online setup tayo, so medyo dampened yung ano natin spirits, but I mean we can only hope for the best. Yep. PhilSci-Hub is always present in all of its platforms. Ayan, nag-feedback ako. So we are present in all of our platforms, mainly our website, www.philscihub.com, and also our Facebook group, our Facebook page, which has 32,000 followers and counting. And our YouTube, we have 11.3 subscribers, and we have renamed our YouTube channel as PhilSci-Hub TV, as we have launched a lot of different and exciting campaigns doon po sa YouTube channel namin. And we're even present on TikTok. We're reinvigorating our TikTok channel, and so far we have gained kind of a response then sa TikTok channel natin to reach out to our younger demographic. So our website contains our workshops, tutorials, modules, virtual labs, and some special features. And yung pong entire Research University program is available through our website, so kindly check it out. And ayun po, if you want to obtain the completion certificate, then please visit our website. Okay? So ayun, I give the screen now. I give back the screen to Ma'am Dindy.
All right, sorry about that. All right, so thank you very much, Mr. JP Onya. And so now we are proceeding to our webinar for tonight. Like I said, it's their last course for PhilSci Hub Research University, the Art of STEM conference presentations to be delivered by Dr. Connie Guivas and Dr. Janice Hintz. So for our, I believe Dr. Connie will speak the second part.
Yep.
Yeah, so just a brief background about Dr. Connie Guivas. She is currently working at the University of Texas Health in San Antonio, Texas, United States. She is a clinical mycologist and clinical research project manager at the Fungus Testing Laboratory, Department of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine. So Dr. Connie is a well-accomplished scientist po na makikita po natin sa background niya. She got her PhD from University of Alberta, and she's also a fellow UPLB alumni, where she got her master's degree in veterinary medicine, and her bachelor's degree was in medical technology from Silliman University. So we're so honored to have Dr. Connie Guivas tonight. This is her second webinar with PhilSci Hub. So we're really thankful for Dr. Connie, or Tita Connie as we fondly call her. And our next speaker, or our first speaker for tonight, is Dr. Janice Hintz from Kansas City, Kansas, USA. She currently works at the University of Kansas Medical Center as a postdoctoral fellow, and she got her PhD in food biomaterials in Korea. I don't know how to pronounce this. Kyungpook National University, where she also got her master's degree in food biomaterials. She's also an alumni from UPLB, where she got her Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, and where she also was a faculty member before she got her master's degree. So we're also thankful for Dr. Janice Hintz for this webinar for tonight. And so without further ado, I would like to turn the virtual floor over to our first speaker for tonight, which is Dr. Janice Hintz. So Dr. Ja, take it away.
And thank you, Ma'am Dindi, for that very kind introduction. Let me share my screen first. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yep. The other panel.
Oh,
Yep.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so ayan, isa na naman pong masiglang umaga sa ating mga moms. Maraming salamat po sa patuloy na pagsuporta sa Filipino Science Hub. Ako po muli si Janice, isang Pinay scientist, isang malaking karangalan po na makapagbahagi muli sa PhilSci Hub Research University. So sa talk po na ito, alamin natin kung ano-ano nga ba ang mga dapat nating tandaan kapag magpa-participate tayo sa poster presentations para mas maging effective ang ating pagsali sa mga academic conferences. So before we go into detail, ano nga ba ang academic poster? So according to literature, it is one of the many ways to communicate and summarize your project in a concise and creative way. Now, it says concise, meaning brief, yet easy to understand, and creative in the sense that you have to make your poster literally attractive enough to draw attention from conference attendees, and yet it still appears very professionally crafted. So hindi naman porke sinabing creative, ilalagay nyo na lahat ng mga rainbow colors sa mga mabubulaklak na mga background na madadownload nyo sa internet. So hindi ganun pagka-creative. So according to another source, a poster is essentially an illustrated abstract. So which makes sense because your poster alone should be able to communicate what your abstract contains, including why you did such work, how you did it, and what important findings are useful in practice, in general practice as a whole, or in the community. So this is actually very important for me. The last one is very important for me, especially when I was graduating from my PhD in Korea, and I was planning to move to the US for postdoctoral research. So through conferences that I have attended here as a student, I got exposed to the type of research work that they do here, which is really mostly medical related research. So eventually, I did get a job in gastroenterology, which is obviously in the medical field. So ang gawain ko sa mga conference on my free time is to really go over each poster sa mga conferences na na-attendan ko sa US, and just immerse myself and get a good grasp of what researchers here are studying. So here I'm showing some of the snaps that I did poster presentation in experimental biology in 2017 in Chicago. So academic posters are presented in poster sessions during conferences, which depending on the conference organizers can usually take maybe 30 minutes to 1 hour. Depending on the size of the conference, there can be hundreds of posters in each session, and therefore there's so much competition for the attention of your audience. So also, therefore, it is very useful for you to make sure that your poster is well designed so that it can be understood on its own or with just very slight explanation from you as a poster presenter. Kumbaga, you have to stand out from the rest to gain your audience. Sa dami ng mga nagpe-present ng poster. So let's learn how the elements of a poster presentation. So there's two basic elements. So one is, of course, your printed poster. That's an organized and logical visual representation of your work, or just like a demonstration of your work in a paper. And next is your quick 2-minute description of your project. So since time with your audience is really constrained, just mention the highlights and the most interesting findings that you think may stimulate the curiosity of your audience. So presenting a poster may also help you to develop your ability to communicate your work in a simple, very, very simple and brief way, but very effective way, because you can explain your research in different ways with different people, and you can find out which approach works best for you to explain to other people. Especially yung mga uma-attend ng conference, syempre, first time mo silang makilala, first time nilang marinig yung research mo, and you have to explain your research in a very, very basic and simple way. So so now we come to the next part, is like, why do we present a poster at a conference? So usually kasi, alam natin, pag-attend ng conference is, mag-oral presentation, but some people do poster. So why? So first, it actually encourages one-on-one discussions among colleagues. So since poster attendees are free to roam around during a poster session, you have a chance to actually have direct conversations with colleagues that find your work interesting. Kasi makakapili talaga sila ng mga pupuntahan nilang poster. At pipili sila kung saan yung pinaka-interested sila at pinaka-nadadraw sila. Ganyan, nakaka-attract ng kanilang attention. So the good thing about this is that you can expect to receive direct and unbiased feedback from your colleagues to further improve your work. Second is, you would normally choose to present a poster when you are at the early phase of your research. Early phase means you haven't collected enough data to talk about that is worthy of 15 to 20 minutes in an oral presentation. So it's very important na kapag minsan mga initial phases pa lang, medyo dun ka pa muna sa poster, hindi pa sa oral, kasi medyo mas complete na yung mga data mo, parang mas strong na yung mga foundation ng research mo kung mag-oral presentation ka na. And lastly is that third, you'd present a poster if your research is highly specialized and focused in a particular area that it does not fit with the conference organizer's theme for the oral tracks. So usually kasi sa mga conferences, yung mga pang-oral presentation, meron silang mga theme, kunyari ito, cancer, kunyari breast cancer ang topic. whatever topic, metabolic syndrome. So, but that doesn't mean na yung research mo is not relevant or not important in your discipline. So for example, my research during my PhD was on antioxidative and anti-aging effects of agricultural waste components. So it's a topic which is really hot research in Korea, but whenever we go abroad for a conference, there's no theme. Like sa mga inattenda namin sa experimental biology na conference, a very, very big conference for experimental biology. No, walang topics about antioxidants or walang topic about anti-aging. So mostly focus ng mga nandito sa US is yung mga sa cancer, all sorts of diseases, all sorts of cardiovascular diseases, lahat. Yun yung mga inaaral nila dito. So, medyo hindi kalinya nung topic ko yung mga pang-oral presentation. So mostly napupunta ako sa poster. Although meron ako mga lab members na ang topic nila, yung naalala ko ay mga colorectal cancer tsaka breast cancer. Nakapag-present sila orally dito. So let us now proceed to what you guys are here for, which is to get some tips on how to design an effective poster. So whenever you make a poster, it's really tempting to like pack your poster with so much information which turns out to be just a clutter than visually pleasing. So remember that in poster sessions, the competition for attention of attendees is really high because there are so many poster participants. Kung nakikita niyo yung sa screen, there's so many participants and people don't really spend much time in one poster kasi sa dami, syempre gusto nila makita lahat ng poster. So you have to make sure that your poster is as brief and straightforward as possible so that attendees passing by may be able to grasp what you've done at one glance. So syempre, your title must contain these essential elements. So first, of course, your title. So usually kapag dumadaan ako sa mga poster, syempre babasahin mo agad, 'di ba, title. So title pa lang, kailangan catchy na siya. Kailangan makaka-stimulate ka ng curiosity sa audience mo. Kailangan attractive na siya, parang malaman agad yung title. So right under your title is the list of authors. So yung title, naalis ko pa yung title ng author. So yung title, under niya is directly yung author, list of authors. So if you're the presenter, you have to write your name in the very beginning and then just list down the other authors and include, of course, your corresponding author and his or her contact information. Kasi some labs actually gain collaborators because they are contacted through conference presentations. Kung may mga nakikita ako, or even ako minsan, nagtitake ako ng picture ng mga contact information ng mga papers, mga posters na natypan ko. Kasi sometimes pwede kang mag-approach sa kanila. Kunyari ako, meron akong lab na hiningian ng cell line kasi napakamahal ng cell ng immortalized cell line. So kung imbes na gagawa pa ako, humingi kami sa ibang lab, mga contact, ganyan. So in poster presentations, you really gain a lot of network, you build network. Next is research design. So it contains a brief description of experimental approach. It's always a good idea to include a general schematic diagram of procedure, especially if you're doing procedures na hindi naman talaga familiar sa majority ng mga audience. So of course, you have to know who your audience is. So say for example, kunyari ako, alam ko na dun sa attenda naming conference, hindi talaga actually karamihan ng mga nag-study ng anti-aging products dito sa US noon. So usually I would include my schematic diagram, my very basic schematic diagram, what I do, what extracts I've extracted from plants, ganyan. Para mas madaling maintindihan ng mga nandito. So yeah, you have to know your audience. Okay, next is results. So as much as possible, present your findings in graphs, in figures, in pictures or tables accompanied by appropriate legends. So usually yung tables, hindi din siya actually masyadong ina-advise. still, kung kaya nyo namang i-present yung data nyo in graphs or in figures, it's still better, like a pictorial representation, kasi mas madaling i-interpret, mas madaling makita kung yung mga differences ng data compared sa tables. Next is discussion, conclusions, and future direction. So this includes the analysis and interpretation of your results. Just a pro tip, make sure that you explain what your data means and so what does it do to your the discipline or your research area. So importante yun, ano yung impact ng research mo? Tsaka para saan yung ginawa mong research? Ano yung applications niya? Saan papunta? Ano yung mga recommendations mo for future research? Yun, maganda din siya ilagay sa poster. Next, of course, is acknowledgement. You need to list your funding sources and collaborators. So actually, ngayon ko lang, I have to be honest, ngayon ko lang nalaman kung bakit, kasi lagi pag mag-conference kami, especially abroad, we have to really list our funding sources and collaborators, especially yung funding sources, kailangan naka-indicate even yung numbers. Kaya sabi ko, bakit kaya? It is really actually very important because it's easier for funding bodies to digitally search your work, productivity in research archives during renewals. So kaya pala, like yung project ko na funded ng Korean government, nakalagay yung mismong number ng sa poster ko. Yun pala yung purpose nun. Sinusunod ko lang sila noon, yun pala. Anyway, natutunan ko lang siya nung nag-search ako for this presentation. It's quite interesting then to know. And lastly is the references. So references, you have to give credit to references that contributed key information for your research. So definitely include your most important references. And next is you have to choose your tools. So here are just some of the most common software you can use to create your poster. But of course, there's still a lot more. Hindi ko na siya nasama lahat sa listahan, but it is still PowerPoint or Publisher that is mostly accepted from the conferences I've been. Actually, to be honest, ang nagamit ko lang dito ay Microsoft PowerPoint kasi yun yung pinaka laging nakalagay sa guidelines ng poster presenters. But of course, you're welcome to try other apps as long as you're comfortable enough to use these apps and you can construct the right dimensions for your poster. So sa mga poster presentations, yung mga conferences, may kanya-kanya silang guidelines, especially sa dimensions ng poster. Yun. Okay, so next is choosing your poster layout. So like I mentioned, make sure that you follow organizers' prescribed dimensions because they are the ones that provide a poster board. Yung poster board, yun yung ina-attach yung poster mo, dun siya ilalagay. So, syempre ayaw mo naman na vertical pala yung poster board tas horizontal yung nagawa mo, di ba? So, very wrong. So, I think sa posters naman, vertical or horizontal, I think both work. Either of them can work as long as they can both, because they both can convey information that you want. So, yun. It all comes down to how you design your data and make use of this space. So here are some examples from Monash University, and I usually still follow the traditional format here. So may examples ng poster format. So yung traditional format, yan yung title niya. Under ng title ay nandun yung author, list of authors, contact information. Tapos, ang mata natin naturally is kasi English speakers tayo, we can be considered as English speakers. We start reading from the left. So from the left to the right, down, and then to the top again, and then down. Pag ganun, pakanan tayo magbasa. So that's the traditional layout for posters. So meron din namang alternative layout na specify sa Monash University. Mamaya makita niyo yung ibang examples nitong mga layouts na to. Next is graphics. So use high resolution graphics and avoid taking pictures from the internet and just trying to crop them or stretching them because the quality of the print gets jeopardized kapag kapag ipiprint mo na, hindi ganun kaganda ang quality ng mga nakuha mo lang sa internet. So make sure that you're using high resolution images, 300 dpi or higher. And make sure that these are visible from at least 5 feet away. But, you know, COVID, so baka kailangan ngayon mga 6 feet away na. So let's take a look at some examples. So in number 1, it's like a lengthy paragraph talking about some data that they've gathered. So that's number 1. And number 2 is a graph. So which do you think is a better representation for your data to be presented? So of course, yung mas madaling maintindihan, mas madaling ma-interpret sa isang tingin pa lang is yung number 2. So we have to really make use of graphs or pictures or anything that would represent our data such that the audience can easily understand your data. Next is space and spacing. So yung space and spacing is it's like the breathing room. Ako sabi nga sa nabasa ko, it's like your breathing room for your poster, or like the rest of your, like a rest for your reader's eyes. Pan at least nakakapagpahinga kapag blanco, di ba? Pag walang sulat. So ganun din yung sa poster. So a very crowded poster looks like it's just a paper full of clutter and just so confusing and just uninteresting. Parang nakakatamad magtingin ng poster na sobrang crowded, kagaya nito. Kesa kapag yung mismo graphs mo ay well arranged and merong mga space in between, and like it uses like nice borders that would, you know, specify hanggang saan ba yung graph mo. Number 6 is your font style, and size. So make sure that your font style and size are readable and from a distance. So consider this as a rule of thumb. Yung title ay around 72 points, headings 30 points, and yung text nyo mismo sa paragraph text at least 24 points. So let's take a look at these examples. So yung very commonly na ginagamit natin, di ba, Comic Sans, hindi siya masyadong professionally looking. Same with Lucida yata to, handwriting, ganyan. Pag dugtong-dugtong yung letters, medyo hindi din siya madaling basahin. Pero yung Arial or other font styles like Times New Roman or Garamond, mas madali siyang basahin, lalo sa poster. Kasi kailangan mabilis mo lang siyang mababasa. So next, for font color, so just pick 1 or 2 colors for the main text. Just dalawa lang. Pag madaming kulay sa poster, parang for some reason masyado siyang magulo at saka parang masakit sa mata. Ganon ko siya i-describe. So just use bold colors to draw attention and avoid pale, low contrasting colors or clashing colors. So itong kagaya nito, blue on blue, yung blue pa na ginamit ay yung light, parang nag-blend siya dun sa background, wag ganon. And mas maganda, actually still ideal pa rin yung white, black and white, just black and white. Kasi hindi kailangan ng mga rainbow kumbaga sa poster, sabi ko nga kanina. Or you can still also use some different colors, gaya ng kunyari blue, dark blue, but make sure na may contrast naman. Hindi naman kagaya ng pagka-blue nito na hindi mo na nababasa. Or meron din na ginagawa red ang background, tapos ito, purple, hindi siya mabasa. Tapos ang sakit sa mata ng red na background. So try to really consider kung ano yung mafe-feel ng audience nyo, ng target audience nyo kapag tinignan yung poster ninyo. And then meron naman gagamitin iba-ibang color ng background, tapos dikit-dikit pa sila. So hindi mo dapat siya pinagdidikit-dikit kasi parang walang rest yung mata mo in between data. So it's still better na may mga white, itong white space, that's the rest for your eyes. Nakikita niyo ba yung yung arrow ko? So
Yeah.
yun. Tapos napakakulay nito, ewan ko ba. I mean, for me personally, I would use colors if I want to distinguish, for example, one data from the other, not to like make it pretty, make my poster pretty. Hindi ganon yung purpose ng paggamit ng iba-ibang kulay. So kunyari, ang ginagawa kong iba-ibang kulay is kunyari may line graph ako or may bar graph ako, doon ko siya ginagamit, iba-iba yung kulay ng bar sa bar graph, for example, to denote which is the control or which is the treatment or which one had, upregulation or increase or decrease in the response or in the signal. Doon ko siya ginagamit. Hindi siya sa pagpapapretty lang ng poster ko or ng text. Ayan, there you go. So those are the essential and really basic elements that you have to really remember in making your poster. Medyo mabilis yata ako. But I think kasi medyo alam naman na natin yun. Medyo even the lower, more beginner level ay medyo kumbaga parang alam na din naman nila siguro yung mga ganon. Pero tingnan natin kung ma-identify nyo kung alin yung mga good and bad posters. So let's try to have some activity. So if we examine this poster, you'd first notice some good quality graphics. There's just very few words, a nice clear title over here, and then yung mga authors. And it's very actually reasonable. And at a distance, medyo madali siyang basahin, I think. So it's kind of very readable from a distance. And it's got a reasonable white space, as you can see. And it doesn't really look crowded, even if madami siyang mga pictures. Ang medyo naguluhan lang ako sa kanya, maybe my slide might be too small. Yung picture mismo ay very small. Medyo naguluhan na ako sa kanya kasi hindi kasi nakalagay mismo kung ano yung objective or kung ano yung hypothesis, ganyan. Hindi siya nakalagay talaga. Nakalagay lang as approach. So, and dito pala siya. So parang I prefer to have really specify what's the objective of my research. You have to really put it in there. I don't know. But for some reason, syempre, hanapin ko kaagad yun pag nagtitingin ako ng poster. So yun yung medyo ini-expect ko din na makikita sa poster ng ibang tao. So in poster like this, medyo sabi ko, asan dito yung bakit ba nila ginawa to experiment na to? Parang ganun. So wag niyo nang paghanapin masyado yung mga magtitingin ng poster ninyo. So bigay niyo na kaagad kasi nga wala silang masyadong oras. They don't have the whole day to spend in your poster para basahin yun. So unang tingin pa lang, kita na nila kaagad. So also for each section of your poster, medyo nabanggit ko na din kanina, you can use borders. Ito medyo hindi nyo masyadong kita pero medyo subtle yung pagkakalagay niya ng background. Ano ba tawag dyan? Mga division ng per section para naman makikita nyo kung hanggang saan lang ba yung section na to or gano'n. Ito yung mga conclusions, acknowledgements, ganyan. So kung titingnan niyo yung layout, overall, please take a look at the layout. So is it easy to follow even without someone walking you through the poster? So syempre, kung magtitingin ka, unahin mo sa title, tingin ka sa introduction, tingin ka sa approach, yung experiment, tingin ka sa results, papunta dito. Tingin ka sa conclusion, here are the key results, future directions, implications. So it actually looks really nice kasi ganun yung ruta, ganun ang normal na ruta ng English speakers, tingin sa left, papunta sa right. Ganyan. So how about this? Dito naman, bukod sa madilim, hindi ko masyadong mabasa. Medyo maliliit actually yung mga letters niya. Tapos, medyo walang mga borders. Walang borders. So, medyo magulo. Tapos, hindi mo maintindihan kung saan, pagkagaling mo na introduction, punta ka sa dito, yung title ng comparative genomics. Bababa ka ba? Kung walang borders, maguguluhan ka. Bababa ka ba dito or pupunta ka dito sa pakanan? So, medyo walang distinction, walang guide. Kung wala ka sa harap ng poster mo, maguguluhan yung mga nagbabasa ng poster mo. So medyo hindi ideal yung ganitong ruta ng mata kasi parang pagkagaling ng intro, pupunta sa kabila, sa part 1 of project, for example. Tapos pagbaba mo dito, kakaliwa ka pa, parang, tapos hindi mo alam kung alin ba yung mauunang data. Ito ba ang una kong titingnan o ito ba? So dito pala, ito muna bago ito. So medyo magulo siya. So yan, hindi mo ma-figure out kaagad yung aling section na yung kasunod. So make sure na merong mga borders, pero hindi naman yung puro borders kasi parang yung napakadaming linya na mas magmumukha tuloy magulo kapag napakadaming linya na din. So medyo balance lang. Just put what's essential in your poster. Ayan, ito naman. So, yan, kung makikita nyo, ayan yung titles niya, ay yung title niya. Ito yung introduction. The introduction looks a little chunky and a little wordy, but I have to give credit na to the photos kasi that's the key materials they used. And the diagram of the method, they actually did take an effort to give like a diagram of the method they used. And then it's very well organized and very well made. So you observe the flow of the poster. So kung ikaw yung magbabasa, syempre titingnan mo yung introduction. Actually ako, introduction konti, hypothesis kaagad, and then some data. Tapos medyo naguluhan ako sa results. I would go back and check what did they actually do. Ganon. So maganda yung pagkaka-layout niya. So actually, yung ruta dito is pag ganyan. Balik punta sa results, pababa, conclusion and acknowledgement. So do you think it's easy to follow kapag ganito yung layout? So I think so. And it's still the most widely used format or layout for posters. So ito naman, it's something I'll let you think about. Kasi ito yung example kanina sa isa pang, dun sa Monash University, and I tried to look for an example. So merong ganitong layout na pagkaka-design ng poster. So do you think it's easy to understand, easy to figure out kung saan ka napupunta? Ganyan. So is it good? What do you think of this layout? I don't know. Tell me sa comment box. Okay, so after you've prepared, and of course you have to, don't forget to print your posters beforehand. So make sure, kasi sa Korea naman napakabilis, parang less than 1 hour yata na print na yung poster namin. So usually mabilisan doon. So sa Pilipinas, syempre, you'll have to consider how much time you need para ma-print yung poster ninyo before the event. So now after you've printed your posters, it's time to show up and present it at the conference. And remember that the purpose of presenting your poster is to really guide your audience through your poster. So here are just some tips to remember when presenting your poster. So just know your scheduled poster session. So yung bawat conference may mga nakaschedule yan na poster session, may mga themes din per poster session. So kailangan alam nyo yung schedule ninyo. Smile and appear approachable. Come prepared and be in professional attire. Like have a flow of explanation in mind. Make sure you have rehearsed your pitch. Prepare to answer possible questions. And then you have to mention the relevance of your poster in your research discipline and in the conference. Like really tell your audience like what's the essence of your work. Like why are you actually doing this kind of work? Why are you interested? What's interesting about your work? Yon. And then end your presentation with key takeaways. So it's like ending your presentation with a bang. And lastly is emphasize the impact of your work. So yeah, that's again is my presentation in Chicago before. So as a summary, conference posters are actually an excellent way to develop your ability to communicate your work. And you have to comply with the organizer's prescribed poster format. And you also have to clearly state the questions being answered, the approach, the key findings, and highlight the crucial interpretations during your pitch. And then Lastly, emphasize the originality and impact and implications of your work in the research discipline in general. So lastly, I'd like to really share some of my trips only to communicate our research with the rest of the world. So actually, I was in Korea doing my PhD when all these trips happened. I'm really very grateful na yung Korea kasi if you study actually in Asia, they still consider themselves as like developing country, and they actually send their students abroad. Like abroad means like usually Europe, US, Canada. That's the top 3 countries. Like Australia pa. Those are the countries that they would really actually want to gain more training and more knowledge. And they send me. They send Korean students along with me too. So yeah. So I went to Vienna for Biotrans 2015. And actually in Chicago, we in 2017, that's when I reconnected with Sir Jeff. So from then we kept talking, and like, yeah, and we reconnected. He was already working in Chicago that time. So yeah, we also went to Montreal in 2018. I got the Best Poster Presenter Award. Trivia, yung pagpunta namin ng Montreal, we also went to Quebec City. Yun yung hotel sa Goblin. Ayun, wala lang. Tapos, ayan, we also, before I graduated, we went back to the US, Orlando, in 2019 to present our work. Ayun. Yeah, and so actually that's the end of my presentation. I hope may napulot kayo sa mga nasabi ko, nabanggit ko. Or I hope may bago kayong natutunan. Ayan, thank you. Back to you, Ma'am Dindy.
Thank you, Dr. Jaja. Ayan, so salamat ulit. Bago tayo mag-proceed sa ating second speaker, i-reserve niyo po muna yung mga questions niyo later. And we actually have Dr. Jeff Bunquin and Mr. JP Onya for additional thoughts, benefits of attending academic conferences. So JP and Jeff, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Ma'am Dindy. And thank you, Jaja, for that very practical talk. So again, before we proceed to the actual presentation by Ma'am Connie about the technicalities of conducting or presenting in conferences, we would just like to add these few notes on the benefits of attending academic conferences. So, bakit ba natin? Why should we strive to attend academic conferences? And I would just like to take this opportunity to address our international audience. So kindly pardon us if we speak the Tagalog language, the Filipino language, as we are joined by majority of Tagalog speakers or Filipinos. So ayun po. But we hope that you're taking you're understanding majority of the points presented here. Yun nga lang po, we are talking Tagalog from time to time. So I hope you're taking the gist of what we are talking about. But anyway, this is also an opportunity for you to like understand or learn a few Tagalog words like baba baba. Ayun po. So ayan, but I would just like to add these few notes on the benefits of attending academic conferences. And foremost is getting feedback on your research work. Nabanggit ni Jaja na parang dun po sa poster presentations, because you're also presenting posters in a conference. The benefit of this is that you can get feedback on the early stage of your research, no? Doon sa sinabi ni Ja, it's more ideal, it's more recommendable if you present the early results of your work in a poster form. as opposed to like the full-on research article na mas applicable naman po for oral presentation, no? But it's a great venue for you to get feedback on your research work because your audience is an audience of experts in your field, no? So they can give insights on um, the state or the current quality of your research. In case you're trying to publish your results, so makakatulong po yon to improve the quality of results. And if this is already an established work, then you can get feedback on the future direction of the research. Ayan po, because you are presenting to a learned set of audience. Yep. And the second point is networking. Yeah. So getting to know other people in your field. So attending conferences is an opportunity to know your tribe, no, in the research field that you are in. So maganda siyang venue for networking, knowing other people and probably potential employers. Kasi some people in the industry also do attend conferences kung very field specific po yung conferences. So take advantage of that opportunity to get to know people and really present yourself and package yourself as an academic expert in that field. And the third point is to know the latest research. Kasi po sa conferences you will get to know the current trends in the research field that you're in. So ayun po, makikita natin kung the latest news, the latest technology, state of the art of the research field that you are in. And this is also an opportunity for you to improve your oral skills, your presentation and communication skills, because your presentation skills is an important soft skill na kailangan po nating i-develop. And dun po sa mga high school students na kasama po natin today, this is quite a good opportunity for you to really practice the oral presentation skills and communication skills that you have, no? So it can be daunting, but we can manage the fear by practicing talaga. As cliche as it sounds, talagang practice makes perfect, no? And attending conferences is also an opportunity to meet your academic heroes, no? Probably your former colleagues and like some of the higher ups or the who's who in the research field that you are in. So this is also a chance to meet them. So yung mga tao na you only read on books, so mga authors na idols natin, no? This is an opportunity to meet them and actually talk to them about the work that they do, and also introduce yourself and the research that you are working on. Ayun. So magbaon po tayo ng CV sa mga academic conferences because you'll never know if a potential employer is around there, the corner. So case in point is our CEO and founder, Dr. Jeffrey Bunquin, and he will probably share some experiences when he was attending these kinds of conferences. And ayun po, maganda yung story ni Kuya Jeff because he met his employer, his actual employer in an academic conference. So I hope Doc Jeff is around to share his experience in attending academic conferences.
Yeah, thank you, JK. But could you just please keep like this slide projected as I speak?
Yes, sure.
Because I would like to give emphasis to a couple of very important points here.
Yep.
So ako po, so at the moment, so unfortunately, we are not able to attend face-to-face conferences po because of the pandemic. But so the team actually asked for me to share quite a bit of my experiences attending conferences. So I actually have a couple of stories to share. But before I share like my own personal experiences or testimonials about conferences, I would just like to touch on a couple of very important points that JP actually shared with you about like the benefits or the importance of attending academic conferences or for the purposes of our STEM community, STEM conferences. So bullet point number 3. So knowing the latest research. So I mean, on a day-to-day basis as a researcher or as researchers, typically we approach, this by reading papers, no? And sometimes papers come in different forms and lengths. So sometimes you have to read up, like long full articles. Sometimes you have to read up communications. But the way I view research, I view conferences or like a very important benefit of conferences is such that if you go to a conference and you go through the poster section, within that section, if you end up, going through 20 posters, that actually translates to you reading about 20 articles already. So because it's the condensed version of the study that you're actually reading up from the poster. So that's a very quick way for you to be able to digest the most important information out of say 20, 30, or 40 different studies in that poster session. So ganun po yan. That's how important it is. So instead of you having to read, hundreds of pages of articles, go to conferences because that's going to be your fastest way of extracting the most critical information out of a multitude of studies. And then secondly, so JP actually mentioned, okay, you get to meet your academic hero. So, this will touch on the context of networking. Okay, so and the stories that I will be sharing is actually focusing on, post focusing on academic conferences and that being an opportunity for you to meet your academic hero. So, but before ako mag-share nun, I have one very important aspect of conference attendance and presentations that you have to keep in mind. It is a performance. So whether it be a poster presentation or an oral presentation, you're not just there to share your knowledge, but that you're also there to show people what you're capable of, how you can actually communicate your thoughts, how you can effectively share the learnings from your study. So it is a performance. So you're not just there so it's not just your study speaking up, but it's also you representing yourself. And the reason why I'm showing this, I'm sharing some of these lessons is the fact that, as you perform, you'll never know if you'll actually chance upon people who could change the course of your life or of your career. So dyan po pumapasok yung experiences ko. So back in 2012, I actually attended the Gordon Research Conference for Organometallics in Salve Regina University in Rhode Island in the US. So the Gordon Research Conference is actually a top tier conference in any specific field. So they're very selective. They only pick a total of about 100 to 150 participants, and that combines educators, experts from industries, and also graduate students. So yung 100 to 150 participants na yun, you're actually made to stay in the same campus for a week. So literally, you spend your entire time with your academic heroes and with your fellow students. So it was actually in that conference where I met a couple of Nobel Prize winners. I got the chance to also sit down and have breakfast with them. So you actually have to take advantage of your opportunity to network with these famous and reputable people. And why is that very important? Because they can help you out later on in your career. And in my case, when I presented the poster paper during the 2012 Organometallic Chemistry Gordon Conference, I was actually spotted by two senior researchers from two U.S. national labs. So that being Argonne National Laboratory and Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. So they casually came up to me in front of my posters. They asked me questions, and then at the end of each of their visits, they handed me their business cards, and then they invited me to apply for a postdoc position in their team. And as JP had actually said, you should always bring your CV to the conferences. So I came ready. So I had copies of my CV in my bag. I handed it to them, and then a couple of months after, and a year before I graduated from my PhD, I actually was offered a postdoctoral fellowship position in both laboratories. So ang nangyari po noon, out of a poster presentation, meron po akong dalawang job offers, isang taon pa bago ako graduate ng PhD. And so that actually gave me the opportunity, like having two offers at the same time, gave me the opportunity to leverage for a more competitive package. And so, that's like one of my very first best experiences, of attending conferences. And then fast forward to 2017. This time around, I attended the 2017 North American Catalysis Society annual meeting. So I presented an oral paper on my work on catalytic hydrocarbon alkane dehydrogenation. And I didn't say it was in a plenary hall, and I didn't realize that in the audience were top scientists of two major oil and gas and petrochemical companies. So what happened was they attended my oral presentation, and then after that, as I was actually going down the escalator, somebody chased me down. He actually gave me he tapped my back, and then he handed me my business card, and he told me that we should talk. And then the following day, I didn't realize. So this was actually a scientist from Phillips 66, which is one of the major oil and gas companies in the world. So he invited me for coffee the following morning, and I didn't realize that he actually brought his entire delegation, and I didn't realize that was already my interview. Next thing I knew, they called me up on the phone, and they were inviting me for a final interview, and I was like, okay, final interview. I never even had an interview, and they told me that they already did during the conference. So fast forward, those two companies, so scientists spotted me presenting an oral paper in that conference. They also offered me a job position at the same time. So it's actually the same experience, but the opportunities that are coming up just get bigger and bigger. So this is the reason why it's very important for you to make sure that you network, during conferences. So as a graduate student, I was fortunate enough to be guided by my supervisor that, if you're going to a conference, the first thing that you should do before you even fly to the venue is to go over the program and essentially list down at least 10 famous scientists in your field that you should actually build a strong connection with. And so with that, you on purpose, you're targeting them. You should strike a conversation and make sure that you make a lasting impression, so that you get to perform in front of them. You get to ask them the most, the most intelligible questions that you can ever come up with. And in my case, it actually benefited me, years after I met them. Like, for example, when I was applying for my green card, under the outstanding researcher category, one very important requirement by the U.S. Immigration is for you to provide them with letters from famous people in the field, ensuring the U.S. Immigration that you are one of the top performers in your chosen specialization. So, and in most cases, most applicants for green cards who don't have strong connections with those famous people, it would take them weeks or months to actually get those people to say yes. Kasi they don't know you. So why would they actually give you a strong recommendation? But in my case, since I was actually able to build strong connections with famous people in the field, in short, medyo makapal po yung mukha ko, feeling close. So it only took me one email request for them to say yes. I was able to get all the signed letters within a week. So I was able to get my green card approved fairly quickly, mainly because I have established a strong connection with those reputable people in the field, that I met from conference attendances. So yeah, so again, it's not so conference attendance and presentations. Again, it's not just for you to attend and put it on your CV. You're there to perform. You're actually there to be part of the community. So these are very important points that you actually have to keep in mind. So you have to set targets. You have to have key takeaways whenever you are attending conference presentations. Kasi like the benefits that you'll get, from performing really well, could actually last you a lifetime. So those are like some of the tips
Mhm.
that we actually have. So I'm hoping
Yep.
that inspires you to attend
Yeah.
conferences like more.
So that's really an inspiring story. And talking about possibilities nga, about attending conferences is also the chance or the opportunity to collaborate with people in
Yep.
your field. No, so
Yep.
sa atin sa Pilipinas, we're not very keen on collaboration, but I mean academic conferences are a great opportunity for us to like know who are working on the same area, or well exactly not exactly the same research work that you're doing, but something very closely related. So
Yep.
parang you can exchange notes and
Yep.
probably collaborate in the future, right?
Yep. And the good thing about that, JP, is that when you meet those people who can potentially collaborate with you, you have that face to face. You have that opportunity to discuss things face to face.
Yeah,
Instead of like exchanging formal emails here and there, which
exactly.
takes time. There's that informal process, and it's much easier to build rapport, with the potential collaborator, because you can actually see their body language as
Yeah,
well.
if they're into
So yeah,
into the
yeah, and
idea. Yeah.
yeah, and the good thing about conferences as well nga pala po is that it's not all it's not all naman technical performance. No, oh, you present a poster, you present
Yeah.
an oral paper. There are breaks. There are there are coffee breaks. There are lunch breaks that give you the opportunity to actually just like pull someone to the side,
Mhm.
like with you. Hilahin nyo lang po, i-corner nyo, kausapin nyo.
Yeah.
Ganun po. But then again, like those opportunities won't present themselves, to you if you don't plan ahead. So,
Mhm.
kailangan meron po kayong target. So, dito kailangan medyo may pagka-stalker kayo ng
Strategic.
konti.
Yeah.
Yeah, strategic. So, kailangan alam mo may target ka. Sino yung gusto kong makilala? Sino yung
Yep.
gusto kong maging ka-close? Yung ganoon. So, yung mga idol
Yes.
nyo po, for example, yung
Mhm.
si
Yeah.
Shrek. Tuwan-tuwa kami, parehas kami ng iPhone. So, ganun, ay, parang din pala siyang normal na tao. And then,
Yeah.
that actually, demystifies them. So, mas madali mo silang lapitan. Whereas, if you would approach them via email, send mo na formal email, medyo
Yeah.
mahirap makakuha ng traction. But then again, exert the effort to do well. Kasi if it's essentially high risk, high reward. If
Yeah.
you do well in making an impression, then they will remember you. But if
Mhm.
you actually
Mess
if you
up.
say something, yeah, if you mess up, then you'll be a flash in the pan, or they will just like
Mhm.
dismiss you. So, but then at
Yeah.
the end of the day, wala namang mawawala.
Yes.
I think the best thing that you can actually do is to try. But
Yep.
if you don't try, if you just look for like at them from afar,
You'll never know.
you'll
Yeah.
never know.
Yes. Yes,
Ayun.
it's definitely a human experience, and an exciting part of attending conferences is also the most obvious, the chance to travel, no? Na pinakita
Yeah.
kanina ni Dr. Ja yung mga places na napuntahan niya. So talagang this is also an opportunity for actually a free travel, no? Because most of the
Yeah.
time you're funded and you can get to places,
You know what's
right?
quite funny? At one point, so after I met Janice in Chicago, I think they were supposed to fly to Europe for a conference, but then she messaged me one time and sabi niya, "Kuya, naku, nagtipid yung lab namin." Sabi, "Oh, paano nagtipid?" Hindi na kami sa Europe, sa US na kami pupunta uli. Sabi ko, walang yan. tipid pa pala yung Canada tsaka yung US. Pero
Yes.
totoo po yan. I mean, for example, ako po, when I joined my current job, back in December 2017, 2 months pa lang ako sa trabaho, wala pa po talaga akong naaambag sa kumpanya. I was sent to South Africa to Cape Town,
Yep.
South Africa for a conference.
Yes.
Um,
Of all places.
first time ko pong makaano ng business class na flight. So yung mga ganoong bagay, so there are benefits of attending conferences because and then again at the same time, if you're doing it while you're already working for a company, you're there to represent your company as well.
Yeah.
So like you get to wear different hats.
Yes.
Iba siyang experience. Nag-evolve po ang inyong conference presentation. So for example, as a graduate student, you're actually there to learn more about the world and to meet your heroes. And then after that, when you do that as a professional, you actually become the hero that other students would
Look up
actually
to.
like to
Yeah.
meet with. Oh,
Mhm.
ganun. So it's a cycle essentially. Parang ganun.
Yeah.
So you get to pay it forward. I mean, when I started working for a private company, then I lost the opportunity to freely share my work through oral presentations or posters kasi classified na po yung trabaho namin. Hindi po namin siya pwedeng i-share sa karamihan. But then now, I am actually chairing sessions in conferences. So ganun na yung magiging role mo. You're actually leading sessions. You're actually leading sessions and essentially screening abstracts. You get to decide who gets to present an oral or a poster presentation. So yung mga ganoong bagay po. So you go through all those stages. But then it's all fun. Masaya pa rin siya kahit nagbabago-bago yung role mo sa conferences.
Yep. So it's really a very enriching activity, professional or otherwise, and everybody should really take the opportunity whenever it presents itself. So ayun po. I think we can now move on to the third presentation by Dr. Connie Guivas.
Goodbye.
So, hello, good evening. It's already what?
Hi, Tita.
10 p.m., 10:30
Yeah, 10:80.
there in
Yeah, 10,
San Antonio.
Yes,
Yep.
it's 10:20,
Yep.
10:18.
And we're very fortunate to be in the presence of Dr. Connie Guivas. Yep. So, ma'am, take the screen away.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone, again. And I know that there are some international visitors we have today. Why is my screen always going off? Yeah, there you go. I have some visitors who said they were going to attend from Japan. Ohayo gozaimasu. Konnichiwa. And here
Konnichiwa.
also in Chicago, good evening to you there, Kathy, Feng Shui. And sa lahat sa Pilipinas, magandang umaga. Mayong buntag. Meron bang Bisaya dyan? Anyway, so now that you're done with your studies, you're done with your experiment, you presented part of your study in a poster session. Now is the time that you're going to share your findings to the scientific community. Is that right? So then, an important function of an academic faculty or a scientist or a research person is to build an academic reputation. And how do you do that? By being known as an excellent speaker. E paano ka magiging excellent speaker? So, okay? Mga Choy, pagka nakilala ka na magiging excellent speaker ka, maiimbita ka na. You will have invites to give keynotes, presentations, keynote addresses, and then magiging visible yung ikaw at saka yung area of research mo. So pag naging visible yon, magkakaroon ka ng maraming collaborations. Kasi that's the key.
Okay.
Collaborations will be the key to publishing. Because you can't always do everything by yourself. Kasi hindi naman lahat expertise mo. Merong expertise ng ibang ibang area na kailangan mo din sa research mo, di ba? So that's the key. You network, and by being very good at what you do, especially what we're talking about now, oral presentation, then they will know you. They will know about you and they will be interested. Okay? Kaya lang, given the importance of oral presentation, there aren't many graduate courses na nagtuturo how to give a talk. And that is very unfortunate kasi there are many, what do you call that? Skills that can be learned and strategies that we can also use to improve our ability to give an interesting, effective oral presentation. So to that end, our webinar today is to provide some of the best practices and tips on preparing and giving an academic and scientific presentation. So, okay, next slide, please, JP. So there are 3 things that I'm going to share with you today. First is that I will talk about how to plan a presentation. And then second, I'm going to talk about, what are the design elements that you need to consider when you're presenting. And then finally, we will talk about how to deliver, about tips on how to deliver a good presentation. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, bago ka magsimula lahat, isipin mo muna, ano bang gusto mong pag-usapan? What is your topic? Okay, and then when you have an idea what your topic is, then make an outline. List everything that comes to your mind. Lahat ng random thoughts mo, ilagay mo, ilista mo lahat yon. Kasi, tsaka mo lang siya i-hone-in, i-specify later on kung talagang meron ka ng specific idea kung ano talagang gusto mong pag-usapan. Okay. And then, now's the time you plan your presentation. So next slide, please, JP. Before everything else, you need to ask yourself, sino ba a-attend? Who will be attending? Will they be students? Are they going to be experts? Are they going to be having middle knowledge of what you're going to talk about? So yun ang iisipin mo ngayon. What challenges or problems are they facing? Hindi ba nila masyadong alam yung topic mo or masyado silang expert? So kailangan galingan mo din, medyo advanced din yung talk mo, okay? So anong goals ngayon ng audience mo? Are they here because they want to learn about your topic? What about you as a speaker? You ask yourself, anong gusto mong ma-achieve sa presentation mo? Okay. What is your aim? And then what is your core message? So knowing your audience will help you plan a presentation that's laser focused. So kung alam mong medyo undergrad ito, hindi mo medyo introductory yung talk mo. So, okay, now that you know that, who your audience will be, the structure and content of your presentation can now be developed. Okay, so tandaan mo lagi, just remember that the tighter the message, the better, okay? So make your message very clear and to the point. And avoid sophisticated language. Huwag yung masyadong gumagamit ng big words. Kasi minsan, alam nila yung word, but they don't really understand the context of it. So medyo jargony. So nawawala yung sense ng talk mo. Okay? At saka kung merong huwag masyadong verbal gymnast. Alam mo yung verbal gymnast, yung gumagamit ng words pero ambiguous kasi hindi mo alam masyado yung topic mo. So dito na lang para safe ka pero hindi talaga nila maintindihan yon. So then, kung may acronym naman, i-spell out mo because not everyone would know what the acronym is. Okay? That's my beef all the time because I see acronyms like, what's that? So hindi nila sasabihin, akala nung speaker, alam na namin lahat kung ano yung sinasabi niya. TLB, BLD, whatever it is. So kailangan i-spell out mo kahit once or twice during the talk kasi nalilimutan. And then, okay, so nung mapipresent ka na, be conversational. Kasi kung masyadong very formal, kailangan nagkukwento ka. But if your audience is there to learn from you, then your kwento has to be didactic. Ano yung didactic? It has to be a story that has a lesson at the end. Meron silang takeaway. After the end of your talk, merong takeaway. May implication, merong kung ano yung lesson na nilearn nila. So, make your story a very didactic one, okay? So now, how do you make it very clear and very understandable? So just like academic papers, oral presentations need to have a structure. So now you create a structure. It has to have a beginning and an end, okay? And there are many ways to create a well-structured presentation. So first, tatanungin mo na naman ang sarili mo, what do I want to achieve with my presentation and what is my aim? Tapos, tanungin mo na naman, sino bang a-attend? So, yun na uli ang questions mo. Because when you know that, the answers to those questions, then these three familiar sections to your core message will be your overview, the main part, summary, and this conclusion can now be planned, okay? So there are three things for a structure of your talk. So you have an overview, your background, which is part of the main talk. So it should be just the same background and the main talk, which consists of your study design, methods, conclusion, and discussion, and implication at the end. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the first thing you want to do in your talk is to give an overview. So what is an overview? The overview lets the audience know where the presentation is going and what the main point or points of the talk will be. So generally, audience can recall 3 main points. So if there are more than 3 points, 3 main points, siguruduhin mong memorable yon kasi nalilimutan nila yon. 3 lang kaya hanggang 4. So for example, to assist the audience, you would say, okay, today I'm going to talk about 3 main points. Then state each point and then use transitional words like first, I'm going to talk about this. Second, I'm going to talk about this, the second one. And then finally. So they will know the structure. Okay? Yung pala una, tas ito, tapos yan. Para alam nila yung flow. May logic. Okay. Next one, please. And then, yung pag-uusapan natin yung best practices in oral presentation. So, una yung overview, and then you're going to state your literature review or background. So, this is where you get the audience attention. Kasi bibigyan mo na sila ng story, bakit mo ba ginawa yung research mo na yon? So, you provide the orientation and then bring everyone up to speed. So this is also where you present your central question. So the answer to this question will be the golden thread that will run through your presentation. So yun yung kailangan makinig sila para malaman nila kung anong answer at the end. So kailangan, kasi the audience, they love puzzles. So yun yung question mo, yun yung puzzle. Bakit ganito? So ganito ginawa ko para makita ko ano bang answer at the end. Anong nangyari? So, and a good introduction brings everyone together, makes them curious, and prepares them for the main part of your presentation. And then also, the literature review will set up the problem, and also you can tell them about similar research or controversies in that area of research. So dun mo din isasama, you will include that in your review or the background. And then you're going to talk about your main body, the main body of your talk. And usually you discuss, as a speaker, you discuss the current research, your study design. So what is a study design and what are the methods? So what's the difference between study design and methods? Yung study design mo, yung plan. And then yung methods mo, yun yung implementation of your plan. So, and then you get the results at the end, and then you summarize, and then you discuss. Okay. So now this is the time that you have to convince your audience. So you structure your statements and arguments into a logical a section. So remember that the audience is hearing and seeing your presentation for the first time. So wag masyadong mabilis yung pagsasalita. Kasi pag masyado kang mabilis, ano na ba sinasabi nun? Nawawala na ako, yung ganun ba? So minsan kasi sa kanenervyos natin, ang bilis-bilis din natin magsalita. So alalay lang. Para ito yung una kong gustong sabihin sa iyo, ito kung bakit, ito yung nangyari. So ito naman yung isa, ito yung bakit, ito yung proof, yung mga ganon. So alam nila yung structure, may logic. So yeah, give them time, masyadong mabilis. And then try using the pyramid structure for this part of your presentation. Nikita niyo yung pyramid at the top is the core message. And then it's supported by appropriate arguments and facts. So core message, why, you have statement 1, how, you have evidence A, B, and C. So the same, another message, statement. So alam nila. So kahit minsan nawawalan ka ng time, pwede ka nang mag-skip. Pero alam mo na kung anong susunod. Hindi ka mawawala kasi meron kang logical structure eh. Okay? So, and then here is an example of a presentation, like from beginning to end. So ito, kung kunyari ako yung gumawa nitong research na to. Okay. So for example, the first part I gave an overview. So, okay, today I'm going to talk about how we found out that dermatophytes were not the only fungi that lived on atypical nails. Okay, so then for background, I talk about the story of a study in Ontario, Canada, involving 500 patients with atypical nails, and we obtained samples from those 500 patients, and then we isolated fungi from them. And then we were able to isolate about 1,000 isolates of fungi, and all were identified as dermatophytes except for 5 isolates that we didn't know what they are. So then, nakita namin yung 5 isolates. What was wrong with these 5 isolates? Why are they dermatophytes? Kaya lang, those 5 isolates, morphologically, they're similar to dermatophytes. So now I talk about what dermatophytes are. Dermatophytes are those fungi that infect the nails, skin, and hair because they can degrade keratin. But the 5 isolates could not degrade keratin. So sabi ko, ang questions namin ngayon, the puzzle was, are these the same species? Are these species dermatophytes, or are these species a member of the order Onygenalis? So yun ang aming question. And then we made our hypothesis, which is a statement, the answer to your questions. So like a tentative statement that you need to prove. So then I went on, okay, these are my hypotheses that these 5 isolates are the same species. They are not dermatophytes and they're not members of the Onygenalis. Maybe they are members of another order, or maybe they're a new species even. Okay, so then what is my study design? So I said, okay, I'm going to use the phylogenetic species concept and the biological species concept. So that's my design. And then how do I implement that? So for the phylogenetic species concept, I would use DNA sequencing of the ribosomal DNA genes. Ribosomal genes. And then for the biological species concept, I would use mating tests. So I had a plan and I have implemented my plan. And then when the results came, I made my conclusion. So after the conclusion, I found that the 5 isolates were actually the same species. They were not dermatophytes, but they can still infect the nails. And then they were not members of the Onygenalis, but are in a new order that we had to establish for that, okay? So then the takeaway for this study in my talk was that morphology doesn't define relationships at all. So I hope that when I did this talk, they were able to follow from the beginning to the end and what my conclusion was. Okay, so that's the example of, well, very, very, what do you call that? Shortened talk. But yeah, it's worth a 1 hour or 12 minutes, 15-minute talk. Okay, so taken all together, the structure of an academic presentation or research presentation is that you tell the audience what you're going to say, and that will be the overview. And then you say it. So you tell them about your background, your design, your methods, results, and then you summarize what you said, and that will be your discussion. And then translate what you said into practical application. That will be your implications. Okay? But please, at the end of your last slide should round off your presentation and show the way forward. Don't be tempted to include a thank you for listening slide, because you will lose your audience at the last moment. So they will just leave, and you want them to have a discussion first, right? So yeah, don't do that, because that's the last thing you want to do. Okay, so let's talk about slide design. Okay, fonts. As Dr. Janice said, the minimum font should be 24 point, no less than 24 point. And then the recommended typeface are those in the sans serif family, which is Helvetica, Avant-Garde, Geneva, Garamond, Arial, those. And I'm using Arial today. So as you can see, they're very clear and very easy to read. And then your background, very easy. Dark background, light font, light background, dark font. Huwag mong gayahin yun, dark. Wala makikita, magpa-flashlight pa yung mga tao. Anyway, and then avoid using red fonts, because a lot of people are colorblind. We were always emphatically told no red fonts, because all those colorblind people will see is that they're gray. So what if you have a gray background? Wala silang mababasa kasi nagiging gray na yung red font. Okay, so please don't use red colored fonts. Okay, background, please don't use pictures for backgrounds, because they're very distracting. So you can do this as simple as you can for the do. The don't do, as you see, it's very, very busy at the back of your slide. So please don't do that. And then, next one. What about this? No, big no. You do not put your entire talk on slides. Okay? Big no. Nakita niyo yan? Because you will be competing for the audience's attention. There's no way an audience can read all that print and listen to you at the same time. Tsaka mababasa mo ba yan habang naandun? Sasakit ang ulo mo. Anyway, so next one, please. Okay, so if you want to put some points on your slide, use 3 to 4 bullets points lang. 3 to 4 bullets per slide. And then your slide is to highlight you, not to substitute what's being said. So phrases, kung pwede. Kung hindi if you cannot avoid like long sentences, kung dalawang sentences lang, okay lang. Pero hindi katulad noon, punong-puno yung slide mo. And then put spaces between bullet points, because as Jenny said, it's breathing points, breathing spaces. And then also simple slides that are easy to read, amplify the speaker's point, and add to the oral presentation very well. Okay. And then I said phrases. And then don't use blurry and distorted images. Katulad niyan. It doesn't add up. I mean, nakakainis tumingin niyang ganyan. Yun na sinasabi, Janice, but if you're taking pictures from the internet, it will happen like that. If they're not your own pictures. And also, you need to worry about copyright, right? If you're using pictures that are not yours, you better have something there to cite it or to cite the reference. And then use media. So, but you use them judiciously. Huwag masyadong marami din. Konti-konti lang. Kasi madi-distract din ang audience mo. Okay. Next one, please. So here, please do correct picture arrangement. For example, in the don't. So the caption is at the top, but it's kind of lost. You can't see it. So it's like, you can see it after a second take. So it's like, what are these talking about? So, but in the other one, if you put the caption in the middle, actually I can make it bigger a little bit. Then there you know that these are all mushrooms in the picture. So put your captions strategically. Okay, so they will see right away what you mean. Okay, next. Okay, captions and your pictures. In the do, the caption is beside the picture, which is also bigger. In the don't, you see that there's a disconnect between the picture and the caption. The caption is a little small and picture is small too, and very far from it. So, sasabihin mo, magkasama ba itong dalawang to? So yun, ang maganda, pagtatabihin mo sila and almost the same size. Okay. Then, put a little humor. Humor is an excellent way to amplify a point because a cartoon can bolster a presentation. Like if you're talking about Zoom classes, tingnan mo yung bata, Mommy, the cloud ate my homework, patay. Di ba yung mga ganon? Yung konting-konti lang naman. And then, you must maintain high editorial standards. Proofread, 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 proofread. Kasi ang nakakainis, nakatingin ka dun sa malaking screen, tapos mali-maling spelling mo. I don't know about you, but yun ang personal peeve. Talagang pet peeve ko yan talaga. Kasi my prof would always say, you're so lazy and careless. Hindi mo masyadong tinitingnan yung presentation mo. Hindi ka nag-prepare. Yung basta na lang, di ba? That doesn't look good for you. For example, if Doc Jeff says you have to present yourself very well in presentation, that doesn't present well for you. Kasi, ayoko nito kasi pamali-mali, ayokong mag-hire niyan. Diba? Anyway, so let's go to delivering a presentation. So what are the strategies used by excellent speakers? So they use voice, non-verbal mannerisms, and they use different medium. Now, the non-verbal, the use of voice, when you project your voice, it helps your personality show. Pag nagmamumble ka lang, nahihirapan yung nakikinig sa'yo. Anong sinasabi nito? Tapos mawawala na ng gana. Wala na silang attention para sa'yo. Aalis na sila. So a strong voice conveys confidence. So speaking too softly, it will undercut the strength of your presentation. Kaya kailangan naka-project lagi yung voice mo. And then you have non-verbal mannerisms. So the non-verbal part of your speech is a presentation of yourself, as well as your message. So public speaking is embodied, meaning that it gives tangible or visible form to an idea. And then your nonverbals are a key part of living and communicating in and through your body. So through the use of eye contact, vocals, body posture, gestures, and facial expressions, you enhance your message and invite your audience to give their serious attention to it and to you. So your credibility or your sincerity can become apparent by your nonverbal behavior. Okay. So eye contact. What does it do? Eye contact creates an intimate and interpersonal experience for you and the audience. So because it assists in maintaining rapport. And then the general rule of thumb is that 80% of your talk should be spent making eye contact with your audience. Lagi ka natingin. Lalo na kung meron dyang, alam mo na, yung dalaga pa, no, dindi. Anyway, when you're able to connect using eye contact, you create a more intimate, trusting, and transparent experience. Di ba pag nagtuturo ka, pag nakatingin ka sa estudyante mo, naging attentive yung estudyante mo? I find that. I go to her and then, right? Tapos makikinig na sa'yo kasi napapahiya, di ba? Anyway, so then, but it is important to note that you want to establish genuine eye contact with your audience and not faking it. Ano mo yun? Meron ming faking eye contact eh. So there have been a lot of techniques generated for faking eye contact and none of them look natural at all. Siguro, yan ang turo sa amin nun. Hindi dito sa U of A. For example, the faking eye contact sabihin, you just choose 3 points on the back wall. Tapos doon ka nakatingin. Palagay mo ba hindi alam ng estudyante mo? Ano tinitingnan nito? Tapos titingin sila. Di ba? Parang they become suspicious and they know that you're not looking at them. Kasi doon ka nakatingin sa malayo eh. Okay lang kung malaking hall or like a gym. For example, yung malaking hall talaga sa mga conferences. Pero kung classroom na konti lang, maliit lang, it will not work. And then there's another one, yung swimming method. Alam mo yung swimmer? Gumaganon. Babasa siya tapos titingin. That's a fake eye contact. Hindi yun, wala ka naman nakikita kasi parang nagpa-pop yung head mo to breathe. So it's just like the swimming methods. Look, you do this. So magbabasa ka tapos, and you're not looking at your audience at all too. So instead, 3 seconds is all it takes to make contact with the audience members in the room. Like, just do like that. Minsan is, ganunin mo pa ng mata mo. Kaya-kaya nyo, di ba, Dins? Anyway, so those are the 3 points on back wall and swing method. We do not do that anymore, right? Do the real eye contact. Okay, so let's go to gestures and hands. So everyone who gives a speech in public gets scared or nervous. Ako din, grabe. Sino bang hindi na nervyos, di ba? So even professionals who do this for a living. But then when we get scared, we emit adrenaline. And what does that do? It makes us do something that we're not aware of when we're there. So it's our gestures. So in a speech, if you are asked to speak, so that burst of adrenaline is going to try to work its way out of your body and manifest itself somehow. So one of the main ways is through your hands. And nagawa ko to dati talaga. Hindi ko alam na ginagawa ko to. Jazz hands. Alam mo yon? Gumagana ako. And I didn't know that. At the end of my talk, I said, Connie, why did you do your hands like that? Like, what did I do? You're doing this. You pala yung jazz hands. You don't know because you were so nervous. It needs to have an outlet, yung adrenaline mo. So don't do that, please. And then there's another one, stiff as a board. Ito naman, kaganyan ka naman. Yung talagang stiff na stiff ka, yung ayaw kang gumalaw. Tapos, minsan ilalagay, you put your hands in your pocket. So that's the stiff too. Stiffness is something that's not very good to look at because it will show how nervous you are and how, what do you say? Hindi ka masyadong confident. And then another one is hold on for dear life. Has anyone done this? I've done this. My first one when I was in Tokyo. There was a lectern. So I was supposed to be there and we had a microphone. So, but I couldn't get away from the lectern because I was holding on for dear life because I don't want to go out of it because that was my parang tungkod ko yun eh. So that's one of the things you don't want to do as well. Don't hold on for dear life kasi parang salbabida mo yung lectern. Okay, so those are the gestures that you don't want to do. So jazz hands, being stiff, and then holding the podium or the lectern very, very tight. And then moving in space. This one, I like this because it makes you feel more comfortable. So we know that you're likely wondering, should I do other movement around the room? Well, depende kasi kung anong space mo. Kung halimbawa, ang space mo ay maliit lang, tapos yung lectern mo, nandun yung microphone, you cannot, because you have to be by the microphone, otherwise no one will hear you. But if you have your microphone here, you can move around the room. Okay, and one benefit of movement is that it allows you to engage with different sections of the audience. So punta ka dito. So lahat sila, walang magsiselos, lahat sila magpupuntahan mo. Diba? I-eye contact mo lahat. Kaya, at saka, it's good for you because you build rapport as well. And so if you're not constrained to one spot, then you are able to use movement to engage with the audience by adjusting your spatial dynamic. Okay, so, however, merong pitfalls yung moving around. So there's what you call the pace master. Yung basta, ganyan lang siya ng ganon, wala namang reason kung bakit siya nagmo-move. Para bang, ganyan lang siya. Tapos ganyan na po. Kita ko yan, ang isa kong professor, ba't hindi mapakali, nahihilo ka. Nakakahilo talaga. It makes you dizzy because he doesn't stay put. So, but because she doesn't have any reason why he goes to that spot or to that spot. It's okay to walk and talk. But yung may reason naman. Kasi meron naman ding maganda yung meron sinasabi sila na yung triangle. I will talk about that later on. Tapos meron pang isa yung obstructing the view. So, wala kang pakialam sa audience mo. Basta pumunta ka sa harap, tinuturo mo, nagpo-point ka dun sa iyong sa screen, na natatabunan mo na yung likod. Diba? Kasi parang ikaw lang, mundo mo lang iniisip mo, wala kang pakialam sa kanila. So don't do that too. Tapos meron pang isa, yung robot. Yung robot, yun yung, so mga estudyante, tinuruan kami na, ito yung triangle method. You go from this place to that place, to that place, to that place. Pero yung robot, punta na siya doon, parang tapos punta ng hindi siya natural eh. But it can be done. Pero yung robot, okay lang kung sayaw, di ba? Pero kung ganyan nagle-lecture ka, hindi talaga siya natural kasi Tapos, ewan ko, makikita mo, napaka-awkward yung unang ginawa namin yun sa klase. Anyway, with experience, the triangle method is a very good strategy for doing a talk. For example, the key message is the core of your talk, right? So it should be dead center. So when you're doing your key message, you will be positioned at the dead center. And then, pag-usapan mo na yung ibang ano naman, yung ibang message mo naman, halimbawa, main talk, tapos meron ka pang ibang point na pag-uusapan, punta ka sa isang side, tapos punta ka sa isang side. Parang nagta-transition ka for every part of your talk. So, but do it in a very natural way. Yung parang, okay, first, nandito ka, talking, and then second, I'm here, and then third, I'm here, and then back, conclusion. Okay, so that is a very good way. Tapos, ano yung audience, hindi mo sila nani-neglect. Lahat na pupuntahan mo, lahat na eye contact mo sila. So, and also, it will help your audience anchor the different parts of your talk. Makukuha nila in the debate, two people are arguing, right? So one is in that side and the other is in that side. But there's only one of you. Kaya punta ka dito sa kabilang side, punta ka dito, punta ka dyan. So, ikaw pa rin yun. But you use that method, it's very good. It's very effective when you use it properly. Okay, facial expressions. So facial expressions communicate to your audience in ways that are congruent or incongruent to your message. So kung masaya yung message mo, huwag galit yung mukha mo. Di ba? Kung katulad no, magkukwento yan. Merong di ba, Jeff?
Tita, nakakatawa yun.
Congruent talaga. Kung ano yung message mo, yun din yung expression mo. Huwag magkaiba. So yun ang congruence. Kasi pag hindi, mafe-feel ng audience mo, hindi naman to sincere eh. Hindi, yung sinasabi niya, hindi nakikita sa mukha niya. Di ba? So, kailangan congruent yung message mo tsaka yung facial expression mo. So pag masaya, huwag umiyak. Okay, attire. Isa pang pet peeve ko yan. Kahit sa university noon, magpipresent ng thesis, yung last na niya na seminar, magsusuot ng jeans na sira-sira ang tuhod. Matanda na nga siguro talaga ako. Pero that's so very, very disrespectful. So, kailangan maayos naman ang attire. Yung kahit mas malinis na polo shirt, tsaka wag naman sira-sira yung pantalon mo. Yung iba, naka-shorts na ang baho-baho na nga. Hindi pa nga nilabhan. Diyos ko. Anyway. Alam naman your attire matches the occasion. So, kung halimbawa, iba naman yung pinuntahan mong meeting, kung very informal naman, ayos lang naka-shorts. Pero kung academic naman na meeting, ay naman, kunting-kunting naman, yung wala namang masyadong butas ang suot. Yung mga estudyante, they're very, very guilty of that. Pupunta doon, ano ba yan? Baka ikay habulin ng plancha. Kasi, yung mga, basta na lang isinuot. Anyway. Sunod. So then, excellent speakers are made, not born. And like any skill, speaking requires practice. So, may research na sinabi, approximately 10 years daw or 10,000 hours of intense training to become an expert. Bago ka maging expert. So, biro mo, pag-practice, practice, and practice. Tapos, magpa-practice ka rin with someone. Kasi para mabigyan ka ng yung sunod na slide, please, JP. Practice with someone else before you do your final talk, because then they can give you feedback on how you engage. Do you have any distracting mannerisms? Pwede mong baguhin yun eh. So maganda na meron kang pinapractice na kasama mo na body system. So usually we have a body system. So magpa-practice ka. Ay, huwag kang ganyan kasi masyado kang marami kang like. Once you get the like, it becomes an earworm. So when you have the earworm, it's so difficult to get it out of your system. You have to sing actually to get out the earworm. So yeah, especially me, I'm very impressionable. Pag narinig ko yun, nako, puro like na ako. Kaya that's very bad. Okay. Avoid using fillers. I'm very guilty of that too. Yung like, kasi very distracting. At saka, sasabihin ng audience mo, bakit siya nagaganyan? Baka hindi siya sure sa mga sinasabi niya. So, and then, even if you have an excellent talk, it could easily become a mediocre one. Kasi marami kang, ang tawag nila ay juvenile na language. But, depende lang yan kung saan ka, di ba? Kung ano mo naman, ang meeting mo naman pero kung we are talking about an academic presentation, so dapat walang ganyan. Lesson lang. Minsan hindi mo maiiwasan, pero tanggalin mo na lang talaga. Kaya kailangan talaga pagpa-practice orally by yourself para you have a sense of timing and then a sense of kung awkward ba yung phrases mo or yung sinasabi mo awkward ba. So if you read it out loud, maririnig mo eh. Tapos mawawala yung ums and ahs mo kasi dire-diretso ka na magsalita. And then, to wrap up, so the rewards for becoming a good speaker include the ability to build a solid academic reputation and the ability to share ideas. So then, yeah, you have as an excellent speaker, you have the potential to shape the way people think about and interact with the world they live in. Okay, so that's for the summary. And then, words to the wise. I know. Sabi ko, 4 na bullets lang. But this is more than 4 na bullets. This is more than 3 to 4 bullets. But I want everyone to just see everything at one glance, because this is the last slide. You can print it out or something. But yeah, when you want to plan a presentation or you want to prepare for a presentation, these are all the things that you need to know. So pick a topic you know very well. You know your audience. You structure the talk. Speak in conversational style. Kwento-kwento, didactic. Start bold. May question ka kaagad na catchy. Fungi having sex. Yung ganyan ang catchy. Nauna kaagad. Really? So mga ganyang klase. So I don't know how you make catchy chemistry phrases, but you probably have a lot too, right? And then you anticipate questions and answer them in the presentation. And then also be mindful of the timing. Usually, ang dami kong professors, they just talk on and on and on. Tapos na yung 15 minutes, nasa kalagitnaan pa sila. Wala na, hindi mo na marinig yung the rest of the talk kasi that's done. They're done. They're out of the stage na. So yeah, be mindful of the timing. So if you have 15 minutes na presentation, you have only to have 10 to 11 slides. Kung 1 hour, mga 40 slides lang yon. So mga ganyan. Depende kung dapat 2 minutes per slide. Pero that's enough. That's a lot already in 2 minutes per slide. Okay, so that ends my presentation.
Okay.
Ayan, grabe.
grabe. Packed yung talk ni Madam.
Grabe. Tita, we learned, I learned a lot.
Oo.
I learned a lot.
I had to call it out because it was supposed to be like 1 hour and a half.
Yeah. Thank you po for you being so generous with all the things that you shared, and the same thing with Jaja. And also like the importance or the benefits of conference presentation that GP shared. So like I think like all these taken together, I bet that our audiences in attendance nabago na yung perspective nila sa pag-present sa conferences. So it's not just presenting a poster. It's not just about talking about your work in front of an audience. So yun po talaga yon. So anyways, Ate Dindy.
So thank you for all the insights, Dr. Janice and Dr. Connie. Marami po kaming natutunan, no? Kahit kami po na experience na may mga rin kami, mga mannerisms na kailangan. It's a skill, no? That
Ako
we
yun.
enhance. So I'm sure marami pong may natuto tonight or this morning. So we can proceed now to our Q&A, questions from our Zoom chat box and YouTube chat box as well. So siguro unahin natin yung question since fresh pa yung talk ni Tita Connie. Let's start with this question. The first line of a presentation is the most daunting. How to create a great first line, and how do you end a presentation with a bang? So siguro Tita Connie.
Wow.
Bang.
Yan.
Bang.
Yun na yung line of bang bang.
Depende kasi sa topic. Kaya minsan, nagbabasa ako talaga ng mga ibang presentation. Kasi you can, like a lot of articles. Kasi sometimes they have really good titles and you can learn from them. So, katulad sa amin, ako kasi fungal ako eh. Puro fungi ang inaaral ko. Kaya pinag-uusapan lagi namin yung sex in fungi, yung mga ganon. Yeah, so
siguro Tita, no? Diba, it's one thing to have those, one-liners ready, but I think one very important aspect that I like that Tita shared was that you have to know your audience, diba, Tita, sa preparation pa lang. Kasi you might have those one-liners, pero kung yung audience mo ay hindi nakaka-relate, diba, Tita? Kasi yung punchline dapat na-appreciate nila.
Kaya nga, kung hindi naman sila mycologist, pag sinabi kong sex in fungi, ano yon? Glassy-eyed kagad.
Yeah.
So know your audience whenever you're presenting. End with a bang. Ayan. So we have another question from our Zoom chat box naman. Para kay Dr. Janice siguro ito kasi ito ay for poster. So sabi, this is from Mr. Clinton Imbong. What if marami daw graphs sa study? Is it necessary to put them all in the presentation or poster?
Yeah, so I think sa mga ganyan, ako, kunyari sa akin, sa presentations ko, minsan, kunyari nagde-detect ako ng iba-ibang genes, like iba-ibang cytokines sa inflammation, for example. Usually kasi, madaming graphs yan, pero pwede mo siyang makombine sa isang graph lang, and then you can present them in just one graph. Or kung hindi naman din necessary pati na ilagay mo lahat. Pag nilagay mo yung lahat ng data mo, lalo pag hindi mo pa napapublish. So medyo, actually, hindi ko ba nabanggit kanina, hindi mo din pati siya dapat ilagay lahat ng data mo na dun sa poster or sa oral presentation. Kasi nga, lalo kung you intend to publish that, no, you don't put all your data.
So
mamili ka lang kung alin yung pinaka gusto mong mailagay at may highlight. Pero
so Dr. Jan, nabanggit mo din na pag sa poster, it should be during the early phase of your research. So kumbaga hindi pa maraming data dapat. But yeah, I guess you can also consult with your advisor kung ano yung
Yeah.
dapat mong ma-highlight sa presentation or poster. And
Yeah.
mm-mm.
Usually when you present your poster, parang isang malaking picture yung paper mo, pero parang ifo-focus mo lang siya ng very slight sa isang focus lang, hindi yung buong picture ng research mo siya. So mamimili ka lang talaga kung saan mo ifo-focus yung poster mo.
Tita Connie, you have additional thoughts on this?
Yeah,
Do you have additional thoughts po ba kayo?
Sorry,
Hindi
I
parang may
wasn't
gusto kayong sabihin.
What was that again?
Okay. Ayan. So, si Tita Connie, she talked about how to be less distracting, I guess, as a speaker. So, ang tanong naman is yung kabaliktaran. How do you handle disturbing or distracting audience?
Tingnan mo.
Baga may pabida.
So, di ba sabi ko, you have eye contact for 3 seconds. Gawin mo 1 minute.
Dilatan mo.
Give them the stare.
Give them the stare.
Hindi
Hindi, ang ginagawa ko pagka ganon, yung halimbawa sa klase, titigil ako, tapos nakatingin lang ako. Titigil sila. Tapos sasabihin ko, do you have any question?
Tita, buti hindi mo ako nag-estudyante.
Ako, hindi mo ako sasabihin, you rock.
Mape-face the wall ka, Doc Jeff.
Face the wall.
ako.
Ganyan ka, Jeff.
Time out.
Ako, tita, yung gumaganon-ganon sa audience.
Ako yun.
Sa audience, tita, nagaganyan-ganyan ako.
Mapapag-get out ka.
Ayan.
Yeah,
I just have one question with to Ma'am Connie kasi nabanggit niya kanina yung parang fillers like the as and and like ganyan. Kasi may nabasa ako na parang article na kaya daw natin ginagawa yon is because we intend to fill the empty the silence. So we're very giddy on like always be talking and there's always like a sound all the time. So that's why, hence the word filler.
Yeah, but then we were told not to fear silence. Like let the silence be for a while and then you talk. Because when you fill it and then you make a mistake, it'll be more parang mas nakikita yung mistake. But I don't know. That's what they told us.
Yun, on the contrary po, may nabasa akong article na people daw who hear the and likes the filler words from the speaker are more engaged kasi the speaker daw appears to be more natural, parang mas less robotic. Ewan ko kung ano yung data nila, wala naman nilagay. There's just an article about it na nabasa ko somewhere.
Iba-iba talaga, no?
Iba-iba.
Reference din siguro.
Hey guys, would it be okay to say something about the word fillers? My name is Kathy. I'm from Chicago.
Hello, Miss Kathy.
Hi, Ma'am Kathy.
I want to put on my video. Can I start my video? Can you start my video, Dr. J?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So you can see my smile.
Yes, please.
Okay, start my video. There you go. Oh my God, it's almost midnight. Hi. It's almost midnight in Chicago, but I really wanted to hear this. So I am in Toastmasters International for 3 years now. And the word fillers are really a big thing in my community. So they would count every time you do something, you
really
talk in stage, you
so
talk
do they
about
like it?
presentation. They are counting that they're tallying like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's against you. So the reason being is that when you are there on stage in the lectern or presenting, and Les Brown is so big in this one too, he would say that you're not preparing your speech, you're not preparing the lecture. and you are
Mhm.
feeling it with, I'm so okay.
Mhm.
And it's against you. And you know, Toastmasters is 136 countries competing.
Ah.
Oh my God. But then tonight, I really did learn a lot. Thank you guys. You guys are the scientific world. I'm a nurse 34 years. I do oncology. So
Wow.
this is new for me in my mind. Like I'm
Mhm.
part of this hub tonight. It's nighttime here. But
Well,
thank
thank you,
you.
Kathy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, we're
You
so
guys
glad
are
to have you too,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
oh my God. When is the next time?
Oh, this is
But
essentially a weekly engagement, ma'am. So we have webinars like this, naman. So
Yes.
we present
really?
a diverse scope of topics, po, just to open up like the minds of the Filipinos, as to how
Really?
diverse and big the world of science, technology, and engineering, math really is.
Yes.
So, apo.
Oh my God, I would love to put in my input sometimes. Like these things that I can do, like the how to present and how
Mhm.
the posters.
Yeah,
I
I think,
love that as well.
I think, ma'am, kasi baka hindi po alam ng iba yung Toastmasters. You
Yeah.
could,
Oh,
because ako
We could
nalaman ko lang,
promote.
kasi baka hindi familiar yung iba. What is Toastmasters po, ma'am?
yeah. So it's a club. It was started in the 1920s.
We have
So
one here.
the community leaders found out that the good leaders are good speakers,
Yeah.
and the good speakers are good leaders. And this is community based. These are the bankers, the mayor, the leaders in the community, the councilmen, because
Mhm.
they want the leaders in the community to be good speakers, because they want that idea, the concept, and whatever they're planning for the community to be spread in a good way. So I really
Mhm.
love it. And you guys are spreading God's word. Like this is really good.
Yeah,
That
thank
you're
you,
putting
ma'am.
in your
Appreciate it.
time, you're putting in your free energy. You're doing this for free. Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Pay
and ma'am,
forward. Pay forward.
yeah, ma'am,
You
and
pay it forward. Yeah.
we've been we've been actively doing this, ma'am, for the past 14, 15 months already. And would you believe that we have already rendered about 40 web events since last year, and we also have trained about 20,000 live participants. So
Wow.
over across all those 40 events po. So I mean, we're actually quite thankful to all of the Filipino STEM teachers and students, because we're getting all these like confirmation that they're hungry to actually learn. And they I mean, so they're always there, so they spend a couple of hours of their time on weekends to be with us, to actually take in some of the knowledge that we're trying to share, through a bunch of resource speakers that we're bringing onto our platform. So ayun po.
Did you ever notice too that when you're sharing the knowledge you have in your mind, that it actually expands your own mind?
Yeah,
Did you ever
yeah,
notice
Absolutely.
that? That sometimes like you're talking about it, I said, wow, that came out of
You
my
realize
mind out of
things.
nowhere. Yes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Ate Connie, I haven't seen her in this kind of mode. Wow,
Setting.
I'm so
Uh-huh.
impressed. Thank you so much.
Tita Connie is actually like the mom of the organization.
Yes, everybody can call her tita.
Or
Oh,
mama.
Homiha ko yung mga yan.
Yeah.
oh my
Yes.
God. Did you ever
And
notice, guys? She looks younger and younger and
Oh,
prettier
we
and
were schoolmates.
more
Jeff and I,
beautiful.
we were schoolmates at the University of Alberta.
Oh,
This is not
Tita
Jeff,
Connie and
the
myself.
founder, Jeff.
And
oh my
and one
God.
thing that I would like to share po with everyone, no. So kami po, I would claim that I have a bunch of speech impediments, especially when I'm nervous or when I'm actually ill prepared. When I'm in a good place, I speak decently. But then one thing that I would like to share with everyone is that there are some times that you would present and sometimes medyo hindi ganun kaganda yung performance. Sometimes you're actually doing well. But then I think what's very important is that you always reflect after every speaking engagement or after every speaking performance. Tita Connie actually mentioned the importance of really recording yourself. That actually works because you get to watch yourself or listen to yourself. Makikita mo yung colloquial tendencies mo na ay ganito pala ako magsalita kasi di ba kapag nagpe-present ka na at medyo may konting nervyos at saka may adrenaline rush, sometimes you're not as mindful as you would actually want to be. So record yourself and you'd see the difference. And then secondly, Tita Connie actually mentioned something that my PhD advisor also said, advice that I always practice, that whenever you're preparing a set of notes or a script, read it out loud. If it sounds awkward, then there's something wrong in how you actually compose that statement. So yun yung mga tips. And then most importantly po, and to this day po, I'm ready. It's been would you believe it? 15 years since I graduated from UP. And then I think 8 years since I graduated from my PhD. But I'm still studying po. I'm still studying. I'm still trying to actually learn how to present with impact, how to communicate with impact. And what Ma'am Cassie actually mentioned is actually true. Communication skills is actually one of the most critical soft skills that a person should actually have and improve upon for you to actually be able to progress your career and development. Kasi ano na po, hindi lang yan hindi lang siya technical skills. It's not only the hard skills, but what's the essence of your achievements as a scientist if you're not actually able to share it with the broader people? So how would people buy into your value proposition if you're not able to communicate it, effectively? So yun po. Kaya din po ito, sabi nga namin, when JP and I and the rest of the team were ideating on, okay, what would be the contents of, say, like the Research University training program? Kasi technically, our intention for this program is to democratize the scientific method. Ituro po sa inyo yung lahat ng steps sa scientific method such that, by taking up all these training courses, hindi niyo po nalalaman, kinukondisyon na namin yung utak niyo na, ay, pinapractice nila from ideation, hypothesis formulation, design of experiment, generation of data, processing of data, coming up with conclusions. Hindi po kami tumigil doon. Kasi what's the point of generating all of these data if you don't know how to communicate it to the right audience? So kaya po, yung culmination of the Research University training program is actually conference presentation. Kasi after you write up your thesis, who would read it? So you actually have to be an actively engaged member of the scientific community. And when does the scientific community get together? It's in conferences usually. So yun po. Kaya kompleto suragados po. So lahat po ito ay ipinresenta namin sa inyo as a part of a major objective of really democratizing how you can apply the scientific method, not only in research, but in your day-to-day activities. So whenever you're presented with a problem, whenever you formulate a question about something that you have observed, ito lang din po yung mga yung steps that you have to take. And kahit po sa bahay, di ba? Pag tinanong kayo ng nanay niyo, ano yung ginawa mo, bakit mo ginawa yan, kailangan mo magpaliwanag. So, di ba? Itong parang, di ba tita? Saka yung conference presentation. So, if you can actually factually present the steps that you took and, and justify the decisions that you made or the choices that you made, yun. So, hindi ka nangangatwiran, nagpapaliwanag ka. You're educating. So, yun po yung goal talaga namin dito sa session na to.
Oh my God, Jeffrey, Dr. Jeff, I love you. I love the way you explain. You have the core, you have the triangle, you have everything that Ate Connie really explained. Wow, amazing. That's like a whole research over there.
Wag robot.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you, Ma'am Cathy.
Thank you po, Ma'am Cathy.
Thank you, Ma'am Cathy.
Thanks, Cathy.
Salamat.
Thank you so much. I woke up for you guys. This is almost midnight here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we no longer have questions.
Yep.
Okay. So JP, do we have any announcements?
We have an event coming up next week. Let me just share my screen there. So, well, this is the final course for Research University, and it's kind of a bittersweet moment for us. But please continue to be in the know of the activities for Filipino Science Hub. And next week, we have an event for the STEM teacher training program. And this is designing laboratory experiments and virtual labs. And this is part of the STEM teaching webinar series. And this will be delivered by Mr. John Marty Mateo, Ma'am May Joan Aguila, Prof. May Joan Aguila, and Dr. Chester Dabalos. And ayun po, iniimbitahan po namin, we invite all the teachers to attend this webinar to learn more about designing laboratory experiments and virtual labs, most especially because we are now in a pandemic, and makakatulong po yung mga i-share nila Marty, Ma'am Daang in like ideating on a virtual lab that we can deliver online. So ayan, so this is gonna be next week, next Saturday, July 31 at 10 a.m. same time. And yeah, same setup po tayo, Zoom and YouTube. So please see we will share the link for this later. And ayun po, sana po, we are hoping that we can meet up again next week for this webinar. So ayun, and again, I would like to formally thank everybody who have been part of the Research University program. So in this Zoom, we have the usual patrons, Ma'am Aileen Beroya. Thank you very much, si Clint, si Ma'am Raquel Bernal. So maraming salamat po sa ating mga suki talaga na who have been there since day one talaga. So
yeah, actually,
maraming salamat po.
Yeah, eight training courses over a span of 12 months. Kasi we
12
started
months.
August, diba?
Yes.
We started August. So,
Yep.
but you know, I mean, this is the end of the first batch po. So expect that there will be, you know, like repeating. This is gonna be a long-term engagement.
Yep.
Mag-aano lang po kami. So, meron po tayong JP, did you mention about the graduation already?
Yep.
The graduation.
Yeah, we will have a
Yes, Tita.
graduation for the Research University, and it's gonna be online. So
Yep.
after this webinar, so we will only give the participants or the members of the Google Classroom like 2 weeks to complete all the courses, and then we will compile all those successful participants, and we will recognize them in a formal event sometime in September. So bibigyan lang po natin ng 1 month to prepare. And ayun po, sana po makita-kita tayo dun sa PhilSci Hub Research Formal Completion Ceremony. So ayan, dun po namin ibibigay yung completion certificate nyo for this Research University program. So ayun po, I hope na yung pong lahat ng members, lahat ng students in the Google Classroom, we have actually 1,300 students there. So, and it's spanning the whole country from Cagayan all the way to all the way to Sulu. So ayan, maraming salamat po, and I hope na everyone actually completes the program kasi this is a very rare opportunity for everybody, and also for us. It's kind of a nice opportunity to really meet people from around the Philippines and even abroad. So ayan, maraming salamat din po sa mga international participants natin.
Yep, and also during the graduation, JP and I, we will be presenting to you the perks of graduating from the program. So sabi nga po namin, this is more for the long term. We might be pausing for quite a bit after the first batch because we need to deliberate as a group. We need to learn from this experience, and hopefully po pagbalik ng Research University training program next year, we're gonna come back with more effectively designed materials. Tita Connie and I, we will have like a special session on scientific method. That could happen as a special one-off event for Research University later this year. Pero paghahandaan po namin ni Tita, hopefully po sa mga guro, dalhin niyo po yung mga estudyante niyo kasi ito talaga, this is focusing on the scientific method.
Masaya yan,
session,
masaya.
yeah.
Yes. It's a
Yan po.
workshop.
So, yeah, it's gonna be more of a workshop. Tita Connie and I kami po magnanay sa
Walang just
University.
hands.
Tita, I cannot assure you because I do this when I'm so excited. So
No swimmers.
Dependent variable.
yeah, nakita niyo naman tita para akong Italiano sa pagbato ng kamay ko kanina. So ayun po. Pero uli po maraming salamat po kasi it's 8 training courses po. I remember majority of our training courses would take as long as about 3.5 hours. So talaga pong kinakain kahit yung oras ng pananghalian ninyo. Natawa ako dun sa comment ni Ma'am Raquel Bernal sa ating regular participant. Sabi niya sa YouTube, I love you Sabado, ganyan. So parang naging Saturday habit na rin po tayo.
Yeah, exactly.
Hinahanap nila tayo pag Saturday, di ba? Pag
sabi nga nila, they're thankful na hanap tayo within the past year kasi ang laki daw tulong. Pero yun po, Research University is medyo magsuslow down muna po kasi tapos natin yung ating isang major program and we're very proud of this kasi ang dami po talagang naabot. Marami pa po kami mga nakaplano for next year. Book, I am telling you, research fundamentals book, that's up and coming. But then, iimbitahan po namin kayo to actually switch gears naman kasi ang ating ongoing na big training program is on teacher training, on practical and innovative STEM teacher training. And this time around, hindi po mag-isa ang PhilSci Hub dyan. So PhilSci Hub will be joined by the Foundation for the Upgrading of the Standard of Education, so which is the foundation of Sir Lucio Tan. And also we will be joined by one of the Philippines' top universities when it comes to education, to STEM education.
Yep.
So it's a tripartite collaboration. So tatlo po itong institutions who are going to be working together para i-train ang ating mga guro. So watch out for that po. We will soon make a formal announcement po. And like we said before, we are really trying to incentivize this. So CPD units, we're working para po ang ating mga guro ay makaka-attend ng free training program. Matutulungan pa po namin kayo sa inyong CPD requirements para sa inyong license renewal. So yun po, marami po kami inihanda. So medyo mag-switch attention muna po tayo sa pedagogy. So paano ba natin, pagbalik natin sa mga eskwelahan sa susunod na semestre or sa susunod na school year, may mga baon po kayong bagong armas para po mas maturuan pa ng maayos ang ating mga guro. So, ayun po. Sabi nga po ni JP kanina sa introduction ng Filipino Science Hub, we have programs on, the know what, yung education. So we're going to be empowering our teachers and then know-how. How do you apply the knowledge through Research University? So I assure you po, pag natapos niyo yung parehas sa training program this year, balanse na po ang inyong perspektibo sa pagtuturo ng STEM sa ating mga mag-aaral at mas magiging capable po kayo of really influencing the youth to pursue a career track in the sciences. And kami pa rin naman po yung kasama nyo, naiiba-iba lang yung mga ihahandog namin sa inyo ng mga program. So, yun po. Isa-isa lang muna po ang ating mga gagawin ngayon. Muli, I'm profusely thanking you kasi ako po medyo nagkaka-flashback ako yung mga struggles rin namin in the very beginning, and JP could actually relate to
Attest
it.
to it.
Sulit po lahat ng puyat, lahat ng pagod, yung weekends po na nasuspend sa pag-connect sa ating mga guro at mga mag-aaral. Yan po ay amin talagang binabaon sa araw-araw. So hopefully po pagbalik ng Research University next year, mas sabi nga mas may bang, di ba tita?
Yes.
Bang!
Start with a bang.
Ayun. So ayun po, maraming salamat po uli. And by the way po, we will over the next 4 weeks, we will be releasing a portfolio of biology content. So instructional videos, audio-visual teaching modules. We have actually recruited a talented batch of BS biology interns sa PhilSci Hub. We also have chemistry, biochemistry, agriculture interns who will be joining the platform. So marami po kaming maihahandog sa inyo. So don't forget po to check all of our social media platforms kasi po ngayon punong-puno po tayo. We will make sure that your summer will be
Enriching.
It's gonna be an enriching activity. Marami po kaming handog sa inyo. Ayun, maraming salamat po.
Okay, so I guess this is a good stopping point. We
Yeah,
have posted the link for the Google form to obtain the certificate. So paki-check na lang po yung chat box natin sa Zoom and YouTube. So again, maraming salamat sa ating speakers for tonight, Dr. Guivas and Dr. Hintz. So
Hey,
ulitin.
Dr. Shoko Nakanishi is here. Shoko, show yourself. She's from Osaka.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Shoko? Oh.
Ohayo gozaimasu. Ohayo gozaimasu.
Narino.
Yesterday was the start of the Tokyo Olympics.
Tokyo. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So thank you very much. And I will see you again next week. So
Yep.